Derby.
You're watching Past the Wire TV, the biggest races at the best tracks. From the Kentucky Derby to the Breeders' Cup. The best horse racing coverage is right here on Past the Wire TV.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome in to Sunday Morning Coffee on Past the Wire TV. I am Big Race Jim. Thank you to Shorebet Coffee and Amwager and Pleasant Acres. I was thinking this as I was firing this up. We've been at this for maybe 3+ months now, um, which is good. We're on a nice little streak. It's good to have a little structure on Sunday mornings between this church and getting ready for the week. It's nice to have some priorities and things that need to get done first thing in the morning. Um, you know, Probably recording this a little bit later than I normally would have liked. Um, my wife and I celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary last night, and it's impossible to get a reservation at a decent restaurant at a reasonable hour. We didn't sit down till like close to 10 o'clock last night, which is usually bedtime. So if I look a little tired, that's why. So let's dive into the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. Begins on Wednesday, which is a change from last year, right? I think last year was just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now we're adding Wednesday into the mix, and then we're going to add the July 4th racing weekend into the mix. It's another 4 days at Saratoga. And I was telling my wife last night while we were at dinner, because, of course, she just loves to talk horse racing, that they were struggling to fill the Met Mile. And then we mentioned that they were going to probably be hosting the Belmont again next year because construction at Belmont is still ongoing. And I jokingly said that they keep frying this golden goose, and that the product has gotten watered down over the years, and they're just continuing to go back to the well on tapping into Saratoga. And I get it. They've put in millions and millions of dollars of renovations there. It's a beautiful place, historic place. People love to go there. The handle is always a lot more when it's there, as opposed to at Aqueduct, or Belmont at the Big A, as they call it. And I get it, but at a certain point, it's going to lose its sort of luster. Saratoga's going to lose its luster when it's no longer a boutique meet and you're racing up there for months on end, or different pockets throughout the year. I get it, but little disappointing. Maybe I'm a little bitter since I don't live up there anymore and can't go as easily. But just something I was thinking about last night and this morning, and really for the last year or two. I remember being on a show with John maybe last summer, talking about how the product is, even at just the regular summer meet at Saratoga, the product has certainly been watered down over the years. And a couple weeks ago, we were looking at a huge field for the Met Mile, at least potentially huge field, with the likes of Fierceness and Mindframe, White Abarrio, uh, Nisos. Who else? There's a variety of other horses that were potentially going to go in the Met Mile, and now it looks like when the entries come out tomorrow, we'll see 4 horses. Maybe there might be one more, but White Abarrio, Fierceness, Raging Torrent, and Just a Touch. And I can't help but think that is because of the Wilson Chute there, right? Like you're gonna prep your horse for this grade one race. And if he draws anywhere like 5 and out, if he draws anywhere 5 and out, like his chances of winning are diminished significantly. And you know, give Naira credit. I mean, they keep leaning into this Wilson Chute, but I think after a couple years, we can perhaps admit that maybe it's been a bit of a failed experiment in my book, and I think the Met Mile is a key indicator of that. This Nobody wants to run in it. Um, those Wilson Chute races over the last couple years have been light at the entry box, and I just think I think that's the reason. I don't know any other reason why these, seemingly grade one caliber horses are running in, listed stakes races um, the weekend before in other states. And I can't help but think it has everything to do with uh, the the Wilson Chute and people just not wanting to be in there. That being said, I think White Abarrio is under a ton of pressure in in the Met Mile, assuming it comes up, that 4 horse field. And I say a ton of pressure, and what I mean is they're under a lot of pressure to win that race. This has been their race that they've been pointing to. They've been talking about this horse's workouts for months, all pointing to the Met Mile. Um, so they have to win. They have to win, right? I feel like they've put that target on their back. Um, and maybe he's coming into the race fantastic. I mean, the workouts would suggest he is. He looks pretty good. Um, but I feel like when you kind of put that target on your back, you have to step up and answer the call. So they're coming into the race with that target, and I feel like they've added some pressure to themselves, and they got to make it happen. Fiercest is a tough customer. Um, I've never been super high on him, and he's beaten me a bunch. That's for sure. Um, but I knew he was going to run up the track in the Kentucky Derby, so I was right about that. But every other time he's run fantastic, and he's going to be a super tough customer in this race. I don't think that cut back to a mile is going to be a huge detriment to him. I think he's a major player in there, and we'll wait to see what the PPs come out tomorrow to dive in and make a final selection. But yeah, I think he's gonna be pretty tough in there as well. So even 4 horses, really terrible betting race. I don't know how you can bet that. I don't know how you can't just. I don't know. Maybe John would disagree, but I think if you're using that race as um, maybe they put that race like early in the card, like the early pick five, because it's such a light race. Um, Anyway, regardless of where it is, I think from a betting standpoint, if you're using that in your multi-race wagers, I think you just have to pick one horse and let's live with it. I don't think you could add two horses in there, uh, and I don't think you can four horses. I don't think you can bet that on its own. I don't, unless of course you like Raging Torrent or just a touch. But even still, like I don't know that you're necessarily going to get the price. But anyway, that's up for you to decide. That's how I'll probably play it. Pick one of those and move on, and just kind of hope that you're right. Um, Belmont again, looking a little light, maybe 7, 8 horses, which yeah, okay. Um, but again, like I said last week, Rodriguez having a pace edge if the same list of 7 horses sign up that we saw. I think Horse Racing Nation had a probable field on their Sovereignty, Journalism, Rodriguez, Baeza, um, who else? That's 4. There were a couple others in there, but they were all the ones that are coming from off the pace. Oh, Hill Road, Heart of Honor, and Uncaged. Um, so Sovereignty, Journalism, Baeza, Rodriguez, Hill Road, Heart of Honor, Uncaged. Not really sure how you can trust Heart of Honor or Uncaged in here. I mean, Hill Road, is in my view kind of pace dependent. And if Rodriguez's lone speed, that might be a little tough. The thing about Rodriguez, though, I was thinking about it more. Like that's a 9-week layoff from the Wood Memorial, which that'll be tough. I think that'll be tough for him. Um, so looking at it now, I would probably lean more towards Sovereignty and Journalism. Not breaking not breaking news here, but I'd probably lean towards one of those, and I'd probably lean more towards Journalism because he's shown the ability in previous starts to close into a bit of a slower pace. So for that reason, I'd probably lean more towards him. But again, the pace dynamics of that race will be a little interesting if it holds together like the names I just listed off. And I do think that 9-week layoff for Rodriguez is going to be a challenge that he's going to have to overcome, and maybe he could do it. Um, you know, I'll probably include him on my multi-race wagers. Him and maybe Journalism, but again, we'll see when the PPs come out tomorrow to make some final um, make some final decisions. But just kind of looking at the way the fields are shaping up now, knowing what we know, um, those would probably be the two that I'd lean on. But we'll see. We'll see when the PPs come out. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. I'm going to talk about a couple of races on Friday. The return of Raging Sea, who took down Torpedo Anna last time out in, I think it was the La Troyenne. We'll talk about that. And there might be a class horse that I like in one of the turf races on Friday at Saratoga that might not get overlooked, but She Feels Pretty is in there, and she's definitely going to take the bulk of the money. So this might be a second or third choice option that I think might have a decent shot. So we'll come back. We'll talk about a couple races on Friday, and stick around.
Exclusively here on Past the Wire, the Giocetti Belmont Stakes Seminar, live with me, doing a complete deep dive, covering every horse in all 7 graded stakes races leading to the 157th Belmont Stakes.
Dornick, and my frame, it will be Dornick and Luis Saez to win the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
It will be with our collective handicap in focus. We'll fully discuss with Q&A after each race, this for maximum preparation, so you will be as informed as possible to make your very best window decisions on this much anticipated full card day at Saratoga.
National Treasure wastes no time rocketing out of the gate. So 1-horse race, National Treasure, and Flavien Prat making short work of the competition, devastating them in the Hillendale Metropolitan Handicap.
For as long as we need, we'll focus to the absolute finish.
Yeah, don't forget to grab your seat to Gio's Belmont seminar happening this upcoming week. Be as prepared can be with Giocetti. So grab your seat. Should be entertaining and certainly informative for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. So on Friday, the race I was talking about is the New York Stakes, mile and 3/16 for Philia Mares, and She Feels Pretty is in there, and really just looking at it, just kind of towers over this field. A winner last time out in last 3, really. It's now even in the 3 races that she's lost, the lengths that she's lost by like add up to a single length. She's a superstar, and I think she's going to be really tough in here. But there's one horse that I think could be a player, and that is this Forever After All for Brendan Walsh. And I think from a class side, on the class side, this Forever After All has always kind of, run above the class that she's facing. And I think she's going to be one that's tough to handle in here. I think what we saw last time at Keeneland was a little bit closer, which I think kind of helped. There's also a little bit of a cut in the ground too. It was a yielding turf, and I don't know if you guys have been following the weather in Saratoga. It's rained every weekend up there since like November. So rained or snowed up there every weekend since November. So unless it's super dry all this week, I feel like the turf's still going to be a little bit soft, and I think that might help this Forever After All. Some of her best races have come on a softer turf course. Obviously, she likes to go longer, so the mile and 3/16 I think is going to be right up her alley. Again, I'll keep looking at this over the course of this week, but I think Forever After All is a contender in this New York Stakes on Friday at Saratoga. Obviously, She Feels Pretty is going to be the heavy favorite, but I think Forever After All is a worthy contender that I'll give a nice hard look at over the course of the next couple of days. What else? Raging Sea returns in the what is it? Let me find it. In the Ogden Phipps. I might, again, I got to look at this. I'm just kind of opening up the PPs from just kind of briefly looking at them last night. I might be against her here. Might be like looking somewhere else, perhaps on a candied or a randomized. We'll see how things kind of shake out. I thought Candy uh, winning over Preakness weekend was pretty impressive. Um, so we'll see how she stacks up in here, but I might be against Raging Sea. Uh, just kind of quick glance through the PPs, and then the other one was the which one was it? The Acorn. I think Cara becomes a little bit more dangerous in here. Um, I was talking a little bit about her going into the Kentucky Oaks, and when that track came up super sloppy, there's just no way you could play her. Her record on an off track was not inspiring, and I think her finish um, in the Kentucky Oaks suggests that yeah, for sure, a um, she does not like a wet track. So if we get some fast dirt on Friday at Saratoga, I think La Cara, you can just draw a line right through the Kentucky Oaks, and if you do that, I think she's a contender in there who loves Saratoga more than Dylan Davis. I think he's going to be a tough customer in that Acorn. So just a couple of quick insights. I don't know if you can even call them insights, just kind of scanning through the PPs quickly and things that jumped off the page at me. La Cara, contender in the Acorn, Forever After All, a contender in the New York Stakes, and Raging Sea, maybe a play against for me in the Ogden Phipps. Tomorrow is Belmont Day draw, so we'll get all the final post positions and whatnot for all of the races. Should be exciting, and we'll go from there. We'll see what kind of content the rest of the team's got to put out this week, but I'm sure you can count on Gio's seminar. You can count on John doing something. Charles will do something. Eddie C is up in Saratoga. He'll be running around grabbing interviews. So you get a little bit more insight on Past the Wire TV throughout the week, really, than you will anywhere else. So there you have it. Another week down. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Thanks for sticking with us. Like, subscribe, comment. And if you're playing the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival, do so on Amwager. Shout out Shorebet Coffee. This is Sunday Morning Coffee, only on Past the Wire. I'm Big Race Jim, and we'll see you guys next week.
Go.
It's simplification and Javier.
Here comes journalism, here comes sovereignty, and they square off, heading to the final furlong. Sovereignty wins the Derby!
You're watching Past the Wire TV.
Hit that like button and subscribe to Pass the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.